William, in part, blames Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for Catherine's cancer battle. Now, some people might say, well, that's irrational. Where's the proof of that? Emotionally, as a father and husband, he feels that the stress contributes. King Charles has refused to meet Prince Harry on his visit in a matter of days to the United Kingdom, in a major U-turn for the monarch, who just a couple of months ago believed that reconciliation with his wayward son was the solution. Charles has realized that was a massive mistake, a huge strategic error. He should have listened to his eldest son, Prince William. Here's the revelation, briefed by Buckingham Palace to the Times newspaper. Prince Harry not planning to meet King Charles on visit to the UK. The newspaper's royal editor, Kate Mancy, writing, the Duke of Sussex has no plans to meet the King when he returns to the UK for his court case against Associated Newspapers this month. Prince Harry will attend his trial against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday in London, while the King is likely to remain in Scotland. Here's the key line. Royal sources, now trust me, this is directly from Buckingham Palace, have indicated that the King has no intention of being linked to the court case, as typically a monarch would be expected to stay clear of any active legal proceedings. The King last met his son in London in September when he was visiting the UK. They had tea at Clarence House in a 50-minute meeting. It was the first time father and son had been reunited in 19 months. Now, this is all part of a major change in strategic direction by King Charles, because he has also briefed, his team has also briefed to Buckingham Palace that for the first time, he agrees with his eldest son that before there is any rapprochement, Harry and Meghan must apologise. Rebecca English, the royal editor for the Mail, reporting, my sources say that while the King would never wish his young son ill and has been pained by the circumstances around their estrangement, he also remains extremely wary of welcoming him back, given events of the past few years. Much has been made of their meeting at Clarence House in September, the first between them for 19 months, and while people are reluctant to comment on the circumstances, knowing how hysterical the Sussexes can be about wrongly perceived palace briefings and leaks, the impression I get is that the King felt slightly railroaded into it. In truth, he knew that if he refused to meet Harry, then this would inevitably have been weaponized against him at some point in the future. Better to meet and then retreat instead. For what it is worth, Harry has dismissed reports that he felt like an official visitor when he met the King, and a media-led invention designed to sabotage reconciliation between father and son. However, most in royal circles are firmly of the belief that for any meaningful rapprochement to be made, the prince owes his father and his family an apology for the way he has behaved. And given this is unlikely to be forthcoming, the gulf between Harry and the Windsors remains. So what's going on here, and I can say this as someone who has reported on the royals for years, but not officially as part of the royal rota, is that King Charles has realized that it was a strategic error to reunite with Prince Harry. The public are not with him. The public are with William and Catherine, who believe that Harry should remain in exile, something that is going to be incredibly difficult when it looks like we, the British taxpayer, are about to have to fund his security again. So there's a huge amount going on here. Let me bring in Colin Brazier. And Colin, you may know, covered the royal family for many years. Yeah, many years in your early days at Sky News, right? But you did also cover lots of major set-piece royal events over the years. Colin, this is obviously very interesting. It's strategic. I think Harry is making a huge mistake in terms of this court case with the Daily Mail. He is quite literally relying on criminals and phone hackers who have been paid in some cases to make up evidence. I mean, I've been looking at all of this. The judge is clearly very concerned. This is a case, I believe, Colin, which is based on personal vengeance, personal desire to see the Daily Mail shut down, to see Piers Morgan go to jail, to see me ruined. You know, that's what these cases are really about. Is the king right to say, Harry, while you are continuing these legal battles versus the British press, I absolutely can.
A dramatic shift appears to be unfolding inside the monarchy. Reports suggest King Charles has finally drawn a firm line with his youngest son, Prince Harry, as Harry's ongoing court case against the Daily Mail continues to dominate headlines. For years, the palace has kept a deliberate distance, offering neither support nor criticism. But insiders now claim the king is increasingly frustrated that Harry's legal fight repeatedly pulls the crown into public controversy. What began as a personal grievance has evolved into a constitutional headache, forcing the monarch to balance private family loyalty with public duty. Sources close to royal circles say this moment marks a breaking point, not an emotional outburst, but a calculated decision to protect the monarchy's neutrality and reputation. Subscribe now for clear, no-nonsense royal analysis you won't get elsewhere.
When it was the Mirror Group newspaper in the dock, the king then said, I will distance myself while this is happening. And I get that. I mean, the institution of monarchy is deeply sensitive to being too adjacent to trouble, which is why Prince Andrew, as being cast into the outer darkness. Just on the point about, I'll just go through a couple of points if I may, just on the point about security, I actually think, I think Celia Walden wrote this recently, didn't she? That I think the case for Harry's security is unanswerable. I'd rather he wasn't in this country at all. But if he has to come here, then he needs to be safe. And I say that because I remember going to Camp Bastion in Afghanistan years ago to do some filming when he was a helicopter gunner, an Apache helicopter gunner. And there are some very bad people in this country who, given the opportunity, would do Prince Harry, as a former captain in the British Army, harm. So I think he does require armed security when he's in the country. On your point about the strategic decisions that have been taken by the royal family, look, it was very divisive. I think as time goes by and the dust settles and people think about Spare, they think about the Netflix documentary, they think about how between them, they managed to unsettle Her late Majesty in her final months. Absolutely disgraceful behaviour by them, by many measures, utterly unforgivable. And I think that the truth of the matter is, and it's a crude and blunt truth, is that Harry and Meghan, they have spent a lot of their celebrity capital by being in proximity with this extraordinary institution. Look, good kings and bad kings come and go. Good princes, bad princes come and go. I'm a monarchist. I'm in it for the institution. As Edmund Burke said, it's all about the institutions, not the personalities. Prince Charles will be succeeded in time by a perfectly good successor, who in time will be succeeded by a perfectly good successor. The institution rolls on, and that's what you support. That's what I support. There's bits of Prince Charles, King Charles, I like. I have some misgivings about some of the things he says, but the institution is what matters. Prince Harry and Meghan have traded off their proximity to that institution. And now, Dan, now they're supplicants. They've got very little to offer. So if the royal family do want to go down this road of permanently, forever, in perpetuity snubbing them, they can do. On a human level, and again, for me, this is one of the attractions of monarchy, that it is almost a nationalised family, and that all the tensions within a family are played out on this massive public stage. On a human level, the idea of King Charles, who's got his health troubles, not seeing his grandchildren. I've entered that sort of phase in life now where I'm really looking forward to some of my children having children and becoming a grandparent, and what a joy that would be. And I think for him to be deprived of that opportunity to make that connection with his grandchildren is a human tragedy. But, you know, as you know, Dan, this is a family that has to rise above that because they're ours. They're a nationalised family. They're owned by us, the British people. We are their subjects, but they also, in a sense, belong to us. And they have to, and they are cognizant of what we feel about the decisions that they actually make. And the public is again Harry and Meghan and wouldn't care if they never came to the UK ever again.
Absolutely. So much to pick up on there, Colin. Couple of points. Firstly, on security, I think what the massive risk is, and I know this is what Prince William is very concerned about, is that things aren't working out for Harry in America. So this security decision is going to be used to almost set up a rival royal court to William in the United Kingdom. Harry will spend a hell of a lot more time here. And he also wants to get international protected person status back, which I believe would mean something quite unconscionable to us as British taxpayers, right? We would have to pay when Harry was on these fake royal tours and, you know, really actually genuinely dangerous places like Colombia and Nigeria. We would be paying for his armed security. That's unconscionable to me. So that's why I don't want him to get the security back. In terms of the personal, I do think this is the big difference between Charles and William. Absolutely, Charles, maybe a similar stage of life. Well, no, you're a lot younger than him, but you know what I mean. Yes, he's thinking of grandkids and he's got that sentimentality. There's a ruthlessness to William, and that ruthlessness means that, no, you're going to be the Duke of Windsor, Harry. The Duke of Windsor means exile, permanent exile. And you remember back to that, you know, yes, Queen Elizabeth II did go, didn't she, at the very last moment to see him at his deathbed in France, you know, at the home in France. But, you know, he was never really allowed back because he made a choice. And remember, this is all what they said to Harry pre-Mexit, or post the announcement, but pre the actual formality, pre the Sandringham summit. There are consequences to this. But I did want to share something with you, which I think is far more significant. It's something I've reported for a long time. But Tom Sykes, who is the brilliant European editor at large for the Daily Beast, but also runs the Royalist Substack, has backed up my reporting on this. And I think it shines much more of a light on why William has that ruthlessness. And let me just sum it up. William, in part, blames Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for Catherine's cancer battle. Now, some people might say, well, that's irrational. Where's the proof of that? Emotionally?
If these reports are accurate, the implications are significant. A king distancing himself from his son's legal battles signals more than family strain. It suggests a redefinition of Prince Harry's place within the institution. Royal protocol has little tolerance for prolonged legal warfare with the press, especially when it risks politicising the monarchy. By stepping back, King Charles may be sending a message. Personal battles must remain just that, personal. The bigger question now is unavoidable. Has Harry's courtroom crusade permanently altered his relationship with the crown? Share your view in the comments. Necessary boundary or tragic divide? Like the video if you value balanced royal coverage. Subscribe for daily royal news, insight and expert commentary.
This key paragraph from Tom Sykes that I want to share with you in his most recent reporting. Charles remains hopeful that Harry, William and he can all be reconciled. However, William, who blames his brother for worsening stress on his wife and believes stress may have contributed to his wife's cancer, has made it clear that he has no interest in pursuing that path. Now, Colin, a lot of people might say, well, it's not fair, you can't know. But does that not tell you a little bit about where William's head's at and why for him forgiving Harry and Meghan is just not even, it's not even on the table. It's not even a prospect. It's not something that he or Catherine will ever do, in my opinion, based on my reporting.
We're not privy to her confidential oncological reports. But one thing that does happen when your spouse faces a battle with cancer, and sadly I speak whereof I know, is it does put things into perspective. And I think we can say with conviction that we don't know whether stress has had any bearing on her medical outcome, but it will have affected her husband profoundly. This is already somebody who feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. You know, coming into the world and realizing I'm the heir, I'm going to be the head of state for this country that still matters. And in that role, you would expect and demand and be entitled to expect the support of your one sibling. And Harry has consistently shafted him. And I think it's so utterly unforgivable, some of what Prince Harry has done. And I think that Catherine, having cancer and struggling with that, as inevitably she will have done, will have put iron into Prince William's soul and will have made him face up to some hard realities in a way that may have been otherwise more difficult than has been. They are stars, by the way, Dan, aren't they? That family.
Oh God, yeah.
Catherine together, and I don't know who's doing their media ops. You do, I'm sure, but they're getting it consistently right. Be seen to be doing the right things, not just be seen to be doing it. Do them. Do the functions. There is no substitute there, and being seen by people.
This is them today, Colin, just before you go on. Here they are today, realising it's a really difficult time in the NHS. And so there they are. No big fanfare, but means a lot. People adore them.
You know, and it was somebody once showed me a figure for the number of people around the world who'd physically seen in person the late Queen Elizabeth. It was in excess of, it was into the, above 1 million who'd actually physically seen Her Majesty the Queen in either the Commonwealth, in this country and beyond. They go home and they say to their partner, to their children, to their auntie, to their uncle, to their friends in the pub, do you know, guess who I saw today? I always think in a world of, advanced social media tactics, that it's really easy to forget that at the end of the day, and as the Princess Royal's reputation reminds us so capably, there is no substitute for putting your best bib and tucker on and getting out there and pressing the flesh. And by the way, people think it's easy. People think it's easy just turning up doing these gigs. You know, Dan, it's not. Apart from anything else, and this is Princess Royal. She was once nearly kidnapped, on the Mall. In the centre of London, every time they do a walkabout, it can go badly wrong. Somebody can swear at them, throw something at them. God knows, do worse than that. There is a stress to it. It looks like the easiest job in the world. It's actually very, very difficult to keep getting out of bed every morning. Have to make small talk with bores and nutters and all the rest of it, all the stuff that goes with that job, rather than sitting in Montecito doing your namby-pamby videos that nobody watches.
Very well put. Very well put. Colin Brazier, I always love having you. Colin, it's great you're on Substack now. It's a brilliant platform. So is that the best place where people can find you these days?
Yeah, and my usual rantings on Twitter, X, as well. But thanks, Dan. It's lovely to see you.
Great to have you, Colin. See you very, very soon. Happy New Year. And we are going to reveal today's greatest Britain Union jackass in just one moment. First, loads of feedback coming in from you on this whole question of Layla Cunningham. So let me get to it. She is, of course, the potential next mayor of London, selected by Reform UK to run against Sadiq Khan, but question marks over her given her Muslim faith. Kim Thomas writes, Reform has been infiltrated. Another 2 Reform councillors have defected to Advance UK. Isarian says Reform is a waste of time. It's just a jump ship stop for every dissatisfied MP of any persuasion. No way they can present policies that we can trust. Catherine Weinberg says, I completely agree with you, Dan. We need Christian leaders right now. Our country is in deep trouble. We need to be grounded in our culture. Deborah Hobbins says Iran's trying to get away from Islam, but Reform are holding the door open. Flytime 7637 says Layla Cunningham was asked about Tommy Robinson a few weeks ago. She seemed to sidestep the discussion. And Sadistic Atheist says one's religious affiliations are important, especially with Islam, because Islam is not just a religion. It's a combined political and religious movement. Okay, a reminder of your Union Jackass nominees now. Nina Mishkov, nominated by Kaz Quinn for saying that Starmer's restored Britain's reputation around the world. Yasmin Alabaya Brown for being fine about pubs shutting. And Zara Zoltana for her childlike victimhood and hating the United Kingdom. Okay, the results are in. 24% of you going for Nina Mishkov. The runner-up with 29%, Yasmin Alabaya Brown. But today's worst Briton in the world, our Union jackass, Zara Sultana. Now, okay, because it is a Thursday, that means tomorrow we're going to reveal the worst Briton in the world this week. And we see the 3 Union Jackass winners from across the week go head-to-head in one mega poll, which will be on the post tab on YouTube very shortly. Remember, from Monday, it was Bushra Sheikh. From Wednesday, Chief Constable Craig Guilford. And today, Zara Sultana. Today's greatest Briton is Katie Hopkins, nominated by Darren Donaldson for saying how it is regarding reform and their Muslim front.